Hi everybody. This is El Viejo Toro of the Fancy Action Now. I just want to verify that we are clamped to the cable. We are now live. We're exactly 1 minute into the live stream. And let me get the chat up. Okay, the chat is up. Okay, so I went ahead and recorded this video originally without reinserting the USB drive into my new microphone, which I'm really getting to enjoy. But I pull it out because you have to listen to audio through the headset, and I don't have a headset plugged into it, so I unplug it to hear what's on there. So that's what we've run into. But we're here today to talk about the statement issued by Angry Joe in regards to the Me Too allegations that have been made against him from YouTuber Wookie Monster. And it's an interesting study on this kind of a situation. It's rare that you get to see this kind of situation this close. And this affects one of the greatest gaming YouTubers ever. So I think it's definitely something that deserves a little analysis. And some of the things that I mentioned earlier in my previous Joe video about getting Joe tooed have manifest in his statement. A lot of the things that we had previously discussed in that video have actually come to reality. And there's a reason why. Let's take a look at Joe's statement. I'm going to pop in here and I'm going to read from Joe's statement and give you, there's only about 5 paragraphs, and we're going to give you a critique and or analysis of this statement that Joe's made, which is absolutely appropriate and was done at the request of his attorney. He would not have done this if his attorney hadn't told him to do so. And there's a reason why he was told to issue the statement. Because you have to, if somebody defames you publicly, you have to respond. You can't just say nothing. You have to respond to the inaccuracies if you believe they are inaccurate. You must express your dismay at that person's behavior and their statements, and you also have to outline to the public of what a detrimental effect they're going to have on your life, reputation, income, standing in the community, ability to run your business, etc., etc. All these things which are your right. And somebody seeks to mitigate that right by making claims against you. Now, if the claims are legitimate, as I've said before, then you need to plead your case, present your evidence, and bring those things to light. If they are salacious, or if they are inaccurate, or if these claims have been made from some other motivation other than legitimate ones, then they need to be retracted and apology issued. Or, as Joe says in his, what we'll get to in his statement, there will be consequences to that. As I said in my previous video, serious legal consequences. All right, so Joe opens with, "It has come to my attention that someone I met at a public event more than 2 years ago and I have had no contact with since." So at the time of the claim, he's had no ongoing relationship with this person. The one thing that I want to get out in the air right away is that a lot of my thoughts on this are hypothesis. Unless you have evidence, that's all they are. But I have looked at the events and I have seen a sequence of events from Sony and Naughty Dog in reaction to negative reviews of the game The Last of Us 2. We have seen DMCA strikes, attempts to purge channels that have reviewed The Last of Us 2 negatively. Also, reaction to the leaks, where people who had nothing to do with the leaks were just providing commentary on those leaks, which is a right to provide news and commentary on whatever you wish. That is not doing harm. Okay, now harm may be experienced through lack of sales. That's the cost of doing business. So the reaction to the leaks, firings at Naughty Dog, the banning of negative reviews on Metacritic at the behest of Sony and Naughty Dog, corporate reviews that are not a true reflection of any medium ever, with 94 9 in 10 9 in 10 ratings from the corporate media, something like 50 or 60 or even more now at this point of 10 out of 10s. And Sony's and Naughty Dog's aggressive reaction, hiring third-party companies to go after individual YouTubers. Now, I would say Joe Vargas, Angry Joe, is an individual YouTuber who very recently did not give a very good impression of The Last of Us 2. He literally walked out on the game. He literally decried the death of Joel. He expressed extreme dissatisfaction at the story and the plot, that direction that this game took. So we have Sony and Naughty Dog aggressively pursuing independent YouTubers for expressing their honest opinion about these games, at times using proxies and third parties to do so. And then suddenly, following Joe's negative reaction to this game, we have a Me Too claim against Joe from 2 years ago at a game show, a games convention, where he was literally surrounded by witnesses. From a YouTuber that's trying to grow her career. Is that coincidental? Very well could be. Certainly doesn't look good. Certainly doesn't look good that Joe comes out with a negative review, walks out on the game. I don't know if I've ever seen that. I've seen him react emotionally, Angry Joe, but I don't know if I've ever seen him actually walk out on a game. And he walked out on this game. But he gave it a 10 out of 10, ironically, as a reflection of corporate reviewers who lack the creative courage to give an honest review of this game. And as I said before, it is not a masterpiece. It is not a 10 or a 10. It's not a 10 out of 10. It is not a 9 out of 10. It is a 6 on a good day and a 5 on a bad one. And even Metacritic, with the manipulation a la Captain Marvel and Rotten Tomatoes that is going on, it's still under a 5. And again, if they leave the thumb on the scale, it'll probably get up to a 5 or a 6 on the user score, which is what the game actually is. It's a 5 or a 6. So Joe Vargas comes out and he says, I want to be absolutely clear. These allegations are not true, and anyone who looks at the facts can plainly see that. I have no idea why this person has decided to do this at this time, but the fact that a defamatory smear posted on the internet can ruin lives these days compels me to make a statement. Again, he is being compelled. Again, that's a legal term. I am compelled to bring this case, Your Honor. We are compelled. We had no other choice. This man's reputation, livelihood, brand is at risk because of these frivolous accusations, if they be frivolous. Now, if they're legitimate, as I've always said, I said in my last video, if this is a legitimate claim of of sexual abuse or harassment or what have you, then present your evidence. You were at a games convention, and conventions are, you're on camera everywhere, with the exception of the bathroom stall. That's about it. And they were surrounded by people with camera phones, and she's got images of her at these events taking pictures with dignitaries. She was given access like no other small YouTuber received. He was extremely generous with his time and his notoriety, and giving her access and trying to give a leg up to a young YouTuber. So, and he did not receive the reward that he expected for giving this person his time and, again, access that she probably would have never received otherwise. So, and he calls it a defamatory smear, because that's exactly what it is. It's a defamatory smear. That's a legal term. And more than likely what happened was his lawyer said, we need to make a statement. We'd like you to write the statement, and then we will tweak it, edit it, so that it has the legal terminology that it needs to have. And that is the correct compels. So typically Joe in his normal parlance would not say, I'm compelled to make this statement. That is a legal statement where you have no other choice. You were compelled to, that's like almost a self-defense word. Somebody attacked me, I was compelled to strike back. I had no other choice. I was not given a reasonable egress to get out. I had to do something. So he's basically saying that. He's basically saying, hey, I'm compelled by these events and by the actions of this individual to make this statement. Here are the facts. This person approached me and my colleagues at a Twitch party, introducing herself as a fellow content creator who was interested in hanging out and networking. We exchanged Twitter handles. She then DM'd me at the same night at 2:16 a.m. Okay. So I want to hang out. I want to be part of the cool crowd. I want to associate myself with this famous YouTuber who's living the dream. And I want to see what he can do for me. Okay. So she was basically given access, and she actually approached him. Again, she approached him initially. She initiated the contact. And then she's contacting him in the middle of the night to set up time to associate with him again. I would say in this particular case, who's the aggressive one? You can call it aggressive or you can call it initiative, but I mean, she's hitting his phone at 2 in the morning and going, hey, I want to see you again. And who wouldn't at a games convention with Angry Joe? I mean, just, hey, you're going to have a good time probably, right? I agreed and invited her to my public panel the next day, then to a YouTube dinner meeting with account managers afterward. So, unprecedented access. He's like, sure, why don't you come to my panel? And then from there, we'll go to the dinner where you're going to meet influencers of the industry that can help you develop your channel, your business, your brand. You can't pay for that kind of access, man. I mean, not as a young YouTuber starting out. I mean, that's major, where you're collecting names, numbers. You're saying, hey, I want to grow my channel. I'm associated with Angry Joe. Just standing in the same room with him saying, yeah, I came here with Angry Joe. Oh, really? Who are you? Oh, okay. Well, here's my card, and let me know. We'll help you grow your channel. I mean, what kind of a leg up are we talking about here? Very, very nice opportunity this person was given. Right? She showed up to my panel with a male friend. Okay, and obviously she made it she called out that he was a friend. Again, are we seeing where this is kind of going? who is more than welcome to join us at any point throughout the rest of the day or night after the panel concluded. So Joe wasn't like, get rid of this guy. You're with me. He's like, yeah, let him come. I don't care. She brought a male friend along. And he said, yeah, he's welcome to come along. That's fine. Now, again, if Joe's intent was to romance this woman at the convention, he's not going to want that guy standing around. He's going to be like, well, who is that? Yeah, well, we'll see you later. And he could have kicked her to the curb at that point, or said, get rid of that guy, or any number of things that, could have occurred, did not. He was very open. He was very honest and welcoming. I mean, what do you want? At the meeting, I helped her network her channels with YouTube partner managers. After the dinner, my friends and I attended another party in a public place. She tagged along. Now, again, remember, she could have left after the panel. She could have left after the YouTube dinner. She could have left at the party. But no, I mean... All right, if she was uncomfortable at any time, I'm going here, I'm going here, I'm going here. An attorney is going to ask you, well, okay, so you feel that he was making you uncomfortable and he was touching you inappropriately and all these things, but you went here and then you went. They're going to try to establish, well, when did you have these feelings? Oh, well, I think it was at the YouTube dinner where he did this or that. Oh, well, really? Then why did you continue on with him to another event? I mean, at any point you can unplug here. At the party, she checked her bag belongings. At no point did I ever take her phone or purse or deny her access to them. In fact, she posted photos to her Twitter of her with other people throughout the night. I never grabbed, dragged, pushed, pulled, cornered, or spun her in any direction, as she claims. I did not make her stay by my side at all times, as she claims. We mingled at the party separately much of the time. And again, if you felt physically in danger or assaulted or sexually or touched inappropriately or any of that, you're surrounded by people and security and cameras and phone cameras and everything. Excuse yourself and leave. Or speak to somebody. Speak to a security person. You're surrounded by people. I hope that, anyway, I'll let that go. So Joe, now here Joe says, and this is one of the comments that I made on my last video. I said, sexual assault is an alarming accusation and should always be taken seriously. If I or anyone had committed an offense, then it should be reported to the police and investigated thoroughly. So he's calling her bluff, and he's saying, if I committed a crime, please report it and have it investigated. He is calling her bluff because much of the allegations that he's listing aren't even crimes. Again, what I would go and say is, even if he propositioned her, that's not a crime. It is not a crime. He says, at no time did I ever speak about sex or ask her to have sex. That's nice, Joe, but guess what, general public? That's not a crime. She's not an employee. Again, if you make a sexual advance to somebody who works for you or works with you, that falls under employment law as sexual harassment. And the funny thing about sexual harassment is you still need a pattern of behavior. So and let's switch it up a little bit. Let's say it's a female boss and a male employee, and the female boss, and this does happen, believe me, you don't think it does, it does. A female boss goes to a male employee, invites him into her office and says, hey, I'd like to get together after work, you and me. and I'm too busy for a date. I just want to get together and you know what's up. In and of itself, it's inappropriate, but if it's a one-time occurrence, it's not illegal. Did you know that? Let's say we have a receptionist and a guy comes into the office, and I'm not saying that this is good behavior. And I'm going to use another female to male just because it's safer. It's just safer to do. Female boss, male employee, they're having a discussion. He says, "Wait one moment, let me get up and get the go to the copier and get that copy for you." He gets up, he goes there, and he comes back and she goes, "Yeah, your ass looks amazing in those pants. I'd love to give it a pinch." Now he can either laugh it off, he can report it to HR. He can say, "Hey, that's whoa, that's I like to keep things professional if you don't mind." And she could say, "Okay, sorry, I like you, and I just went a little bit too far with it, but I am committed to maintaining a professional relationship between us." Okay, all forgiven? Good. That's totally legal. He can pick up a phone and go, "Hey, HR manager, I just want to log this in my book, and I want to let you know that, hey, she just, complimented my ass and my pants. I was a little taken aback, but we talked about it, and she said, well, never again, and we'll just be professional. But I just wanted to let you know." Okay, thanks for letting us know. They're going to call the boss. This is what's going on. This is what would happen. They're going to call the boss and go, "Yeah, you said he had a nice ass in his pants. What were you thinking?" He's like, I slipped. It was inappropriate. We discussed it. He's a great employee, and I will not make a comment like that again. We'll see that you don't. Otherwise, it could become an issue. Okay, understood. We want you to go, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to be like, "We would like you to go to like an employee training or an interaction training. I want you to sign up for the class. Let me know that you're going. Let me know when you're done, and let me know what you got out of the class." Okay, thanks. One-off incidents of this kind of stuff is not illegal. If there's a pattern of behavior, like next week you make the same comment, next week you make the same comment, at that point, 1, 2, 3, you got a pattern of behavior. Now you can go to an employment law and file a claim to the federal government, federal employee law. You can call an attorney and file a claim against the company. You've got yourself a pattern of behavior. But these little one-off interactions with people, they're not illegal. And I'm just using this as a hypothesis, as a scenario. Let's say her and Joe go to the dinner, then they go to the party afterward. They're sitting there having a drink, and he's like, "Yeah, you're kind of cute. We should go back to my room." Totally not illegal to do that. He could go, "Hey, you're really hot. Let's go back to my room and get it on." Totally not illegal to do that. Am I saying it's good? No. Am I saying it's appropriate? No. All I'm saying is that somebody making a proposition to somebody else, male or female, is not illegal. I felt uncomfortable. Okay. That's not illegal. It's like, what can you legally hang a hook on? Well, he tried to keep my phone from me. Did he succeed? You obviously were taking pictures with your phone. She was acting like he tried to keep her from anybody else in a room full of people. I'm not saying it didn't occur. I'm just saying it just seems odd. And again, if you're with somebody, and it doesn't matter male or female. Let's say you're a man and you're with a female, and she doesn't want, and you're communicating with people, and she gets tired of it, and you just met her, and she takes your phone and keeps it and says, "I'm not giving that back to you unless you pay some attention to me." It's not illegal unless she refuses ultimately to return the phone, because that's your property. And then you go to You go to an usher, or you go to security, or you go to a police officer, and you say, hey, she refuses to return my property. They will compel her to return the property. But nothing like that went on. And even then, they're not going to arrest her. They're like, give him back the phone. Give him back the phone or you're coming with me. Okay, here you go. Again, what is legal? What isn't illegal? In the spectrum of human interactions, it is not illegal for a man to proposition a woman to proposition a man to proposition a man, a woman to proposition a woman. That is not illegal. Now, if the person says, this is unwelcome, I am uncomfortable with that, and you continue to do it, and it's a pattern of behavior, not just one or two, it's a pattern of behavior with interactions. We're not talking about physical assault here. We're talking about somebody going up and going, well, he made me feel uncomfortable. He said this or that. You have free speech. You can say what you wish. If you want to walk up, if a female wants to walk up to a man that she finds attractive, or she wants to extract resources from, or whatever it is, whatever her motivation is, and go up to him and say, hey, let's go back to your room. It does happen. Believe it, it does happen. The man is welcome to say yes or no. Unless it becomes fatal attraction, then you got to get the law involved. And then you get restraining orders and these kind of things. But let's continue. The consequence is damage to not only my reputation, career, and brand, but those to whom I employ, my friends and my family, all because many people don't bother to examine the facts, only the salacious headline. I urge this person to, wait a minute, say, sexual assault is alarming. If anyone had committed a arresting third, I urge this person to do that if she believes an offense occurred so I can clear my name. Right? So we're calling the bluff, and he's also outlining the damage that is being done to his personal relationships and his professional ones, his brand, his business. This kind of thing is damaging, and there is a price tag to it. This is where we get into consequences for frivolous claims of any kind. Of any kind. This is now a serious legal matter, okay? That is a warning right there. He's reminding her it's not just a like you starting a rumor in high school to get at somebody you don't like, or to piss off an ex-boyfriend or something. This is serious legal matter where you're talking about a brand that could be worth millions of dollars. His brand, you don't know what the total value of his brand is worth, but she will find out if she has to pay restitution to this man. That's why I'm saying when you start messing with somebody who has resources, if you're messing with just some no-name guy out there in the world, and you damage his career and you damage his reputation, he's going to have a very hard time getting the money together to sue you in court. And then is he ever going to see any money out of you? And it's just like, and is it even worth it to him? But to Joe's name and brand, it is worth it to him. And he has the resources to hire the legal counsel to seek damages, which have already been done. That's the thing. The really sad part in all this is neither one of them will get out of this unscathed. Okay? And if this is a fallacious claim, her career and her future is going to be in a very poor state, because she's going to be forever known as the false claimant against Angry Joe. That's going to be her claim to fame. That's going to be her infamous label. And she's going to have to live with that. They both have to live with this now in perpetuity, right? So Joe got Me Too'd is always going to be with him when he goes to conventions. He's not going to be able to be as open and as generous with his time and even his physical person. He may even have to hire somebody, which I highly recommend if you go out in public, Joe, have somebody there as a perpetual witness. You can call it security, you can call the person an administrator or a producer or whatever you want to call them, but just make sure you always have somebody around, because somebody else may make an attempt at a claim and say, well, she tried and failed, let me try. You may get a copycat claimant. Always have somebody with you at public events so that you're never alone in a room or an elevator or at anything, a party, a social event, anything. You're a public figure, you're a YouTube celebrity. You need to behave as such and not be as open and generous as you would like to be. Because that niceness, that natural niceness, jocular, friendly person that you are, is not going to serve you well in the public space anymore. You're going to have to be more careful. That is the unfortunate result of this. He just can't have a young YouTuber roll up on him now, male or female, regardless, anybody, roll up on him and go, hey, Joe, can I come with you to the big YouTube dinner and help me grow my channel and all that? Unless you're consulting professionally, or you set up your own like Angry Joe School of YouTube, or you have some liability insurance, unless you want to get into it like officially mentoring people on their channel, you can't do it anymore. You can't just organically do that kind of stuff anymore. Sorry. And again, what's going to happen to Wookie Monster's career? On the advice of my attorneys, all my future statements about this will be through the legal process. My lawyers are sending this person a cease and desist. Of course, she is free to express her opinions about me all she wants. What she is not allowed to do is lie about me or defame me to the public and suggest that I am a sexual predator when I am not. If her defamation continues, I will be forced to take further legal action. I have been in the public eye for 12 years now, and all of this frustrates me so much because fabricated and embellished stories like hers do a disservice to victims of sexual harassment and abuse. Legitimate claims. I want to thank those who resisted the temptation to rush to judgment and took the time to look at the facts. Thank you for your support, right? Fight the Man says, I think they need to stop responding to accusations, completely ignore them. You know, unfortunately, you can't do that. You know, I'm a big believer in deny the attention of things that you don't like. But when you have a business and a reputation to protect and a brand that you have built being defamed by this individual, again, Joe did the smart thing. He didn't go on Reddit. He didn't go on Twitter and get into a flame war with this idiot. Okay? He went and he retained an attorney and he called her bluff and he said, if you've got a legitimate crime, if you think I've committed a legitimate crime, then notify the authorities. And he sent a cease and desist, which is basically if you do, it's again, you have to be reasonable. You don't, what it's called the reasonable man or reasonable person position in law. It is a literal legal philosophy of the reasonable person. And you're not supposed, in the face of an unreasonable accusation, you're not supposed to abandon your reasonableness. Your reasonableness is actually your shield. And you say, you're supposed to say, hey, I've been compelled, unfortunately, I've been compelled to make a statement to respond to these false allegations. And I've issued a cease and desist, which is basically calling you to stop any further action which is damaging my reputation and my business. And if you fail to cease, the cease and desist is going to let you know that further legal action will be coming. It's like, do you want to, again, that's a reasonable thing to say. Do you want to continue down this road? Do you have evidence of these claims? Because if you don't, and you're not willing to notify the authorities and plead your case and explain why after 2 years and immediately following my negative Last of Us 2 review, where I walked out of the game, that suddenly I'm getting a Me Too accusation. I don't know if that was the motivation, but it's good timing. And he said further legal action. That is the key. Further legal action. The one thing that a false accuser doesn't like is being held accountable for facts and proof. Because they don't have it. Now, if she has it, present it. But if she doesn't have it, he's called her bluff immediately, within days. Got the legal counsel, issued a statement, and has issued a cease and desist. So in that cease and desist, it is going to require that she issue a retraction and an apology. And if she fails to do that, they can go after her again for lost reputation, damaged reputation. They can go after her for false accusation. They can go after her for all kinds of money. I don't know if Wookiee Monster really understands that she could be paying Angry Joe for a very long time. And they can go after legal fees, which could be in the thousands to tens of thousands of dollars. Imagine making a false claim against somebody, being sued over it, and then having to pay $50,000 in damages and legal fees. And they let you make payments, but you'll be making payments for the next 5 years, 10 years. It happens all the time. So, even if you see what again, some of this is already too late. Joe responded very quickly, but which is good. Because it doesn't allow her to dig the hole any deeper, because the damage has been done in some part, and she can cease and desist. That's fine. She can adhere to the cease and desist. She can issue a retraction and apologize. They can still go after her for money, depending upon what Joe wants to do. So again, if you're a legitimate victim of abuse, please notify the authorities, present your evidence, plead the case. And that helps to reduce, and in some cases eliminate, these kind of behaviors. Okay, but if it is not a legitimate claim, please do not make frivolous claims about sexual abuse or physical abuse. Don't make frivolous claims, because it dilutes the response. You set precedent. Every time a false claim goes into the court record, it gives anybody that's really committing real crime, real harm, it gives them additional resources to say, well, I'm like this case here. That's my situation. And again, it muddies the water. So it's no longer clear-cut decisions of, well, like, okay, that's clearly abuse. Every false accusation strengthens the case of, and I don't think it's ever been expressed like this, because it's a case precedent, it goes into the court record, it can be used to plead a case for someone else who may be a legitimate abuser. So with that being said, hopefully, again, this blows over quickly. Joe has handled it well, and we'll see where it goes with Wookiee Monster. I don't think that's going to wind up as a happy ending for you, but we'll see. But I'm curious to know what the thoughts are on this video. I'm sure it's going to be a little bit controversial, but we don't shy away from a little controversy here on the Fancy Action Now. I'm your host, El Viejo Toro, for The Gamer. Peace.